So you have 10 lakh rupees to spend on a nice automatic car, but you don't want a typical hatchback or a compact sedan. What are your options then? Well, it's pretty much either the Hyundai Exter or the Maruti Suzuki Fronx. Well, these two are basically hatchbacks underneath. So they are a bit vanilla, but what makes them special is the little sprinkling on top. An extra layer of flavor, if you will. So for this test, I'm going to put the Exter against the Fronx and see which car does better in terms of features, interior space, performance, mileage, ride quality, and of course, value for money. First up, the Exter. Now, Hyundai may call this an SUV, but this is pretty much a granite and Neos with a different top hat and more features. Well, as for the Fronx, it is a Baleno on steroids, although I have to say that Maruti has done a really good job with its styling. I think this is easily one of the best looking cars in its range.
The Fronx is not only good looking with a nice and cohesive design, it is also the bigger car here. It's longer and wider than the Exter, and the tire size on it is a fair bit chunky too. The Exter on the other hand has a taller design which gives it more height. When parked next to each other, it is pretty obvious that the Fronx is wider and longer, but it's the Exter that's taller.
So here's the thing, for around 10 lakh rupees, you can have the most expensive variant of the Exter in its automatic form. But if you want the Fronx, then you will have to settle for this variant, which is the middle variant of course, and it comes with a 1.2 liter naturally aspirated petrol engine that's paired to an AMT gearbox. But this car also gets a much nicer 6-speed torque converter automatic, but to get that, you will have to spend at least 2.5 lakh rupees more.
The variant that you see here is the Delta Plus option variant, which is priced at 9.41 lakhs ex-showroom. However, it's the 1 liter turbo petrol range with the torque converter automatic, which is more sophisticated and gets you all the nice features.
Now, because this is far from the most expensive variant of the Fronx that you can get, it is missing quite a few new age features that buyers now seem to care about. So things like a reversing camera, a sunroof, cruise control, or even a wireless charging pad. You don't get any of that in this particular variant. Personally, I am okay with that, but what bothers me is the missing rear wiper, push button start, and height adjustability for the driver's seat.
The Exter that we have here is priced higher than the Fronx Delta Plus option variant, but in return, you get a lot more features as standard. There's wireless charging for your phone, a single pane sunroof, cruise control, a cooled glove box, paddle shifters, height adjustment for the driver's seat, rear AC vents, and a digital driver's display. All that said, it's the Fronx that actually comes with LED headlights, 60-40 split rear seats, idle start-stop tech for the engine, wireless phone mirroring, and adjustable headrests for both front and rear seats. For a full comparison, here are all the comfort-based features that these two cars come with. In terms of safety, both the Exter and the Fronx come with 6 airbags, ABS with ESP, 3-point seat belts, and hill hold assist. Additionally, the Exter gets a reversing camera, tire pressure monitoring system, and a dash cam as standard. Let's take a look at the full list of safety features for both.
As for your multimedia needs, both the Exter and the Fronx, they both do pretty well. In fact, it's the Fronx that comes with wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Well, it's in here in the Exter too, but here you need a wired connection. As for the audio quality, it is the Exter's 4-speaker system, which sounds a bit nicer. And I have to say, the Exter's entire infotainment system is also slightly better than the Fronx. I mean, the UI on this display is quite smooth, the menus are nicely laid out, and the display itself is quick to respond, and the touch response feels nice. And this system also comes with connected car technology, which is missing in the Delta Plus variant of the Fronx. So the Fronx is from a segment above, so it's barely a surprise that it is the most spacious car of the two. In fact, for this test, we have measured the interiors of both the cars thoroughly, and you will see the full numbers on your screen just about now. Up front, the Fronx has more legroom and shoulder room, although it's the Exter's tall boy design that gives it more headroom. Also, the seats on the Exter are slightly bigger, although the difference is tiny. Actually, the front seats on both these cars are equally supportive, although I have to say the cushioning on the Fronx is a bit too soft, and I would have liked the seats on that car to be a bit more supportive. Again, at the back, it is the Fronx that gives you more space to move around. I mean, I have more leg room, and because the Fronx is quite a bit wider than the Exter, you have more shoulder room as well. So, if you're somebody who's going to be having three people in here at the back more often than not, then maybe the Fronx will fit your criteria better than the Exter.
The Fronx is also slightly more fuel efficient of the two. In our mileage test, wherein we drove both the cars at the same time in similar traffic conditions along a predefined route for city and highway driving, the Fronx turned out to be more efficient. On the highway, it's the Exter that proved to be slightly more efficient of the two. All said and done, there isn't much to split between the two when it comes to mileage, and for your usage, you can expect good fuel efficiency out of both.
Driving the Exter AMT first, now the engine in this thing is extremely smooth and refined. And for everyday driving in traffic, it isn't lacking in power either. It's responsive, there is a good amount of torque from low to mid RPMs, and when you're driving every day and in traffic, it doesn't feel like the Exter is struggling too much to keep up with traffic.
The only time you'll feel this engine working hard is when the car is loaded with 3 or 4 people and you want to get somewhere quickly.
The highest praise that I can give this AMT gearbox is that it doesn't take away anything from the driving experience. In fact, it is pretty smooth when you're driving in traffic using park throttle. It will upshift around 2000 RPM, and to be honest, I'm not getting any of that rocking motion as you accelerate through the first few gears. So, in that regard, the Exter AMT is one of the finest of its kind that you can get at this price point.
All in all, the Exter with the AMT gearbox feels just right for driving around town, but when the time comes when you need to reel into a gap in traffic or overtake a long vehicle, then that's when it gets a little tough.
So there is a lot of lag between you pressing the throttle pedal all the way and the gearbox reacting to it and then downshifting. So usually that would be that in pretty much every low power AMT equipped car, right? But that's not the case here because the Exter comes with paddle shifters. And I know this technology has been paired with an AMT gearbox, but let me tell you, it works pretty well. Like the Exter, the Fronx is an extremely user-friendly car to drive every day. I mean, the steering is light, the driving position is spot on, and that is despite this car lacking height adjustment for the driver's seat. And the A-pillar on the Fronx is also thinner than the one on the Exter.
The engine has enough performance to offer for the most part, but if you're in a hurry or you have the car loaded with people and luggage, you will need patience because the build-up in speed then is quite relaxed. Overall, it feels like it doesn't want to be rushed. The Fronx actually seems happiest when you drive it with a sense of calm, and let's face it, that's how most people drive on an everyday basis, so no complaints there.
And like the Exter, the AMT gearbox on the Fronx is also very smooth as long as you're driving using park throttle. I mean, it is very, very close between the two when it comes to the refinement of the AMT technology. Now, having said that, there is one car that does it ever so slightly better than the other one. Having driven both cars back to back and extensively so, I found the Exter's AMT to be slightly more seamless with the way it works. Now, in this car, there is that slight head nod that you will feel in the Fronx as you go through the first three gears, but let me tell you, it's not a deal breaker in any way. And this gearbox is still one of the finest pieces of AMT tech that you will come across in any Maruti car at this price point.
The Exter rides quite well for its size. The NVH is good, so there isn't a lot of road or wind noise filtering into the cabin despite its tall upright stance. Over bad roads, the suspension remains quiet when it's doing its job. As for the actual ride, it's nice and flat and there isn't a lot of up and down movement once you are up to speed. It's just that at low speeds, it's a bit bouncy over elongated speed humps. Coming to the Fronx, you can hear the engine a little bit more inside the cabin, and at highway speeds, there is a bit more tire noise as well. But it's got a superior ride quality, that's for sure. It is able to cope with deep potholes and speed humps in a slightly better manner, in the sense that it doesn't knock as much, especially when the spring decompresses. Overall, it's got an extra layer of maturity to its ride, and that is something we have seen in Maruti's other crossovers as well. Finally, we come to the all-important pricing and warranty. Now for the price, here we are only going to compare the variants that we have tested. The mid-level Delta Plus option variant of the Fronx is around 80,000 rupees more affordable than the Exter. But let's not forget it's the most expensive variant of the Exter with all the features you can possibly have it with. As for warranty, it is pretty close, although it's the Exter that gives you the added benefit of unlimited kilometers as part of the standard warranty. So which automatic car is it going to be, the Maruti Fronx or the Hyundai Exter? For starters, both are highly capable and pretty much the ideal choice if you want something that's not a hatchback or a compact sedan. For 10 lakh rupees, you get more features in the Exter and by the tiniest of margins, a smoother AMT driving experience. On the other hand, the Fronx is bigger on the outside, has more space inside, and a slightly better ride. So it all boils down to which of these qualities are high up on your list of needs. If not the Exter or the Fronx, do let us know in the comments which automatic car would you buy for around 10 lakh rupees.